The news day continues here on One News Now Business. I'm Diego Castro. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. This just crossing our wires. The Budget Department has officially submitted the 5.7 trillion peso National Expenditure Program for 2024 to the House of Representatives. The proposed budget for next year is nearly 10% higher than the current year's appropriations of about 5.3 trillion pesos. Budget Secretary Amina Pangandaman says the proposed national budget for fiscal year 2024 will continue to prioritize expenditures for social and economic transformation through infrastructure development, food security, digital transformation, and human capital development. The national government's outstanding debt further ballooned to a fresh record high in the first half of the year. Data from the Treasury Bureau shows that outstanding debt inched up to 14.15 trillion pesos as of end of June. That's 0.4% higher than the figure logged in May. The latest debt stock is also 10.6% higher than the 12.79 trillion pesos in the same month of last year. The bulk, or nearly 69% of the debt portfolio, came from domestic sources. Domestic debt saw an increase due to the net issuance of government bonds, driven by the government's financing requirements. Factory activity in the country improved in July. S&P Global Philippines reports that the country's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, rose to 51.9 in July. This follows June's 11-month low of 50.9. July's PMI is also the 18th consecutive month of readings above 50, which signifies growth in operating conditions. The progress was driven by a stronger expansion in production and new orders, as well as increase in new export orders. In corporate news, Meralco affiliate Pacific Light Power is planning to participate in a tender offer to build a new power plant in Singapore. Meralco Chairman and CEO Manny V. Pangilinan says Singapore is looking at bidding out 600 megawatts each of gas plant. Should the company win, Pangilinan says the estimated investment for the gas plant is approximately at $1 million per megawatt. Aside from the tender for the gas plant, Pangilinan says the group is in discussions with the Singapore government for renewable energy. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Data from the Agriculture Department shows that Typhoon Egay has caused nearly 3 billion pesos worth of damages in the agriculture sector, spanning an area of over 160,000 hectares. Rice logged the most loss at over 33,000 metric tons, valued at over 1 billion pesos. That's over a 92,000 hectare areas affected. Meanwhile, the volume loss of corn is pegged at around 53,000 metric tons. That's nearly 1 billion pesos worth of corn. Losses in high-value crops stand at 235 million pesos, translating to some 11,000 metric tons. Over 8,900 farm animals have also been lost due to Egay. These include chickens, ducks, swine, cattle, carabao, and goats, among others. The total value is estimated at around 11 million pesos. Egay has likewise damaged farming infrastructure, amounting to over 350 million pesos. In the fisheries sector, some 1,200 fisherfolk were affected by the typhoon, which destroyed about 175 million pesos worth of fisheries and fishing equipment. With all these, the government is now looking at available interventions to mitigate Egay's effects. For this, the Agriculture Department is closely coordinating with affected local government units. Rice prices have started to climb in wet markets in Metro Manila. With this, the government announces that it will import over 1 million metric tons of rice this year, after President Marcos expressed concern over the impact of recent typhoons and the looming effects of El Nino on the agriculture sector. The Agriculture Department says it's planning to import some 1.3 million metric tons of rice this year. The agency says this is to ensure that the country has enough supply before the harvest season, which would only start by September or October. A farmers group has earlier warned that rice supply could hit the critical level by September, as current stocks can only last until end of August. The Federation of Free Farmers also warned that the lean months or the months leading up to rice harvest could extend further due to the impact of recent typhoons on agriculture. As early as now, prices of rice have started to climb in wet markets in Metro Manila. Prices of local rice climbed to around 37 to 49 pesos depending on the variety. This marks an increase of up to 1 to 2 pesos. Price increases for imported rice are even steeper, at around 1 to 3 pesos. Imported rice prices are now at 41 to 58 pesos per kilo, depending on the variety. But some vendors warn prices could climb further in the next few days. The DA explains that prices of rice have begun to go up because of higher prices of fertilizer as well as petroleum.
Hindi lang yan daw, may susunod pang pagtaas. Sabi ko, paano na yan? Kawawa naman yung mga walang pambili. Hindi bali mayayaman, kaya nila yan. Yung mga maliliit na tao na ang maasa lang sa minimum wage, ano ibibili nila?
But it's not just rice. Some suppliers are warning that pork prices are also set to increase in the coming days. To join us for a discussion on this, we have with us on the show Rolando Tambago, President of the Pork Producers Federation of the Philippines. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us on One News Now.
Good morning, Diego. Good morning to our listeners.
Sir, we reported that Typhoon Egay caused around 11.9 million peso damage in livestock and poultry. Is this one of the reasons for the projected increase in prices dahil po sa Typhoon Egay? Ano po ang ibang factors that could lead to this?
Actually, the Typhoon Egay did not do some major damage to especially for swine industry. But we don't see any price increase in terms of retail price of pork because in fact right now the farm gate prices of live hogs is at all-time low. In northern Luzon and even in central Luzon, we only have around an average of 170 pesos per kilo in terms of farm gate price. And that would translate to 270 to 300 pesos of retail pork price, considering that those animals will be brought from the farm to the market area. So there is no there should be no much movement on retail price of pork.
So malinaw po sir, ang sinasabi nyo, for the meantime, wala pang paggalaw sa presyo ng pork. I'd like to, yes, tama po yan sir?
Yes, but
Okay.
there might be a temporary, maybe in a few days, because of some of the supplies for Luzon are coming from Visayas and Mindanao. So when there is a typhoon, the boat, the cargo ship are not allowed to travel to from Visayas and Mindanao to Luzon. So there might be a temporary shortage of supply, but right now we're already in the normal situation, and I think it will not much affect the retail price of pork.
Okay.
Because in fact, our supply of pork now in Luzon, because we have currently we have 72 million kilos of imported pork and cold storages in Region 3, Region 4A, and National Capital Region. So if the normal reason for increase of prices, retail price are low supply and demand. So we have a lot of supply right now.
Ayun sir, so binanggit niyo po, madami po ang supply natin ngayon. So no need muna for now to import more pork.
No need. For the next, we can assure that for the next maybe 2 to 3 months, I think we have enough supply. The reason why the farm gate prices right now all over the Philippines, especially on producing swine producing areas in Region 3, Region 4A, and even some parts of Visayas and Mindanao are at all-time low. So the farm gate price right now has an average of 170 pesos per kilo,
Okay.
which would translate to 280 to 300 pesos per kilo of retail price in pork.
Okay,
So
okay.
that says a lot that we have supply.
Okay, that's good to hear naman. Sir, kamusta naman po ngayon ang sitwasyon po ng ASF sa bansa natin?
The government is doing something to control the spread of the disease, but we all know that there is a continuous and sporadic cases of ESF all over the Philippines. So, but this time it's more controlled, but kailangan lang talaga na mag-ingat yung mga farmers.
Okay, sir. And of course, yung El Nino po, parating na this year. Ano po ang magiging impact nito sa pork industry?
Usually, ang impact ng El Nino dahil mainit, naapektuhan yung paglaki ng mga animals natin, especially poultry and swine, no? Yung tinatawag natin yung growth rate niya during that time. So, it affects the industry, but I think hindi masyadong malaki yung impact doon sa supply.
Ayun, sa minimal lang. Pero sir, in terms of assistance from the DA, para ma-mitigate man lang yung impact ng El Nino and tsaka yung mga recent na typhoons on pork industry, ano po ang kailangan nyo?
Okay. Normally the poultry and swine industry is a private business driven. So we don't need much intervention especially on large operations, but mostly we need more on the policy that to ease how we do business. That's what we want.
Yun, so
Like for
policy.
example, right now, Cebu is a major producing hogs, no, in the country that supplies Luzon and other areas in Visayas and Mindanao. But the Department of Agriculture through Bureau of Animal Industry disallows shipment of pork and pork-related products going out of Cebu
Okay.
until September 4. So that also disrupts the supply and might be possibly affects also the retail prices of pork in Luzon in the coming days.
Yun, unfortunately, sir, that's all the time we have. But thank you again for joining us. Sir Rolando Tambago, President of the Pork Producers Federation of the Philippines.
Thank you.
And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Jago Castro. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News, all sides, all the time.